Carrie from Dispatches from the Frat House. Please forgive the horrible lighting. It is so cloudy and dark, and it cracks me up because the camera faces all the windows, which are lovely. I love this room. But, I mean, aside from the clutter, because nobody had school yesterday, so I'm still trying to catch up the house from yesterday. It looks really bright out there. It's very deceiving. It looks bright. It is pouring, and I recorded a little bit for a little Vlogtober mini earlier today on our way home from running errands, and it was pouring. It has been pouring buckets on and off for like 2 days, so please forgive the really bad lighting. That's the one thing about this room. When it's cloudy out, the lighting really is awful. I wanted to do two things. I want to announce the winner of the school supply giveaway. There's one winner from Romany, one winner from Vicky, and one winner from me. And my winner, I'm going to make sure I read it properly. Hold on a moment. My winner, I had it pulled up and I lost it. Felicity.rose.priddle@gmail.com. So congratulations, Felicity. I will have a lovely little box out on its way to you as soon as I get your mailing address. You will also get an automatically generated email from Rafflecopter telling you that you won. So you may have already gotten that depending on when you're watching this, but congratulations, and congratulations to those who won Vicky's and Romany's videos as well. Oh, I'm so sorry for the lighting going in and out, you guys. I've tried to do this everywhere today, and it's just... everything's arguing with me because Mercury's in retrograde. I don't know why. Everything's arguing with me. And I'm messed up because yesterday felt like Sunday because the kids didn't have school. So, to me, today is Monday. So, I'm all goofed up in the head. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I was going to show you, like planner-wise, how this was working, but it's really kind of hard to show. Pardon me. We were wanting to talk about how the changes that we've been making in our planning for the last couple of months, how those changes, like making sure you're doing a brain dump on a regular basis and time tracking, how those things may have changed how we're planning things, if at all. Maybe it hasn't. I know for me it's changed things hugely. Part of, several people did ask, why on earth, if you already have your daily schedule, on why would you track your time on top of it, or why not just write it in there with it? And actually, I will show you some planner stuff. I will show you why I do my time tracking separately. This one is a perfect example. Oh, there goes the lighting again. Okay, hold tight. I'm trying to get to last Thursday. Like I said in my Vlogtober Mini 3 video, last Thursday was trying to kill me. So when I'm doing time tracking, sometimes I do put stuff right on my daily page. Depends on the day, to be really honest with you. Saturday, I didn't have anything going on. Most of the boys were gone all day. Mike had practice in the morning, and then there was a game, so he came home for seriously like 15 minutes in between. So I had the morning was just Liam and I, and that was it. So I did some stuff. I worked on that Vlogtober Mini 3 video. I got it edited and I got it uploaded. I've been backing up my YouTube videos to the portable hard drive. I did my decorating. I finished that for this week. I finished that on Saturday. So here's a good example of days that I totally can do this on my daily page. I'm still getting used to things being backwards, guys. You see up in here? I just marked roughly the times, okay? Because I didn't have any scheduled stuff. Sorry, I forgot to turn the sound off on the phone. I didn't have any scheduled stuff going on until I went to the hockey game that night, okay? So days like that aren't full of everybody else's stuff that I have to drive to or that I want to be at, I can do it right on here. I do transfer it over to my time tracking notebook that's in my pocket-sized Gemini. But days like that, I do just write it right in here because it's quick. Now, you guys know that I work on the go a lot. Haven't really had a choice about that lately. So when I have days that the schedule looks like this, see that? That was Thursday that was trying to kill me. I did get work done. I had a meeting with a client here, okay? So that was 45 minutes roughly, maybe an hour, close to an hour. So there was some work done during that. I didn't put any of the notes for that here. That all went back in the project notebook. But if I tried to track my time that I spent 10 minutes working on a website for somebody, that I spent 15 minutes answering emails, or drafting an email to a client, or, answering questions on Facebook, or whatever the case may be. If I like to track those things, and I'm going to go over why in a couple minutes, because several of you did ask, why on earth do you bother tracking your time? Which is a valid question, believe me. But this is why I generally do not do it on my daily schedule. Okay, because if I tried to do any kind of time tracking in here, it would get lost. It would get lost. And especially when it comes down to things like billable hours, I really, really need it to be separate from the frat house chaos. So that is why I generally don't track. Now up in here, the gap during the day when I just had Liam and everybody else was at school, I did a whole bunch of stuff during the day, and I did that in this chunk of time here. But that all went in the time tracking notebook as well, because it's all together that way. So, but when I try to do it in the middle of this mess, there's just, I don't care if I write it in bright orange and highlight it and draw stars around it and point arrows at it and make it blink and flashy lights. I will lose those, especially if they're billable hours. So I try to keep this where I have to be when, and that is it. And those were literally the places I had to be when. Thursday was rough. So why track your time? Well, first of all, let's talk about from like a work perspective, okay? So if you're tracking your time for work, it's nice for you to be able to show either a client or a prospective employer how efficient you are. So I can get this done, at this level of accuracy in this amount of time. And you don't want to guesstimate that. You want to be accurate with that. That's important, right? When you're doing things that, depending on the project, sometimes I just bill per project and sometimes I bill hourly. It depends on the project. And when you are doing those little stolen moments type of working, like I was doing on that Thursday, and working for, I waited in the van for 10 minutes at the high school for one of the boys. So I got 10 minutes worth of work done. Had to kill 15 minutes in between dropping one son up and picking the other, or dropping one off and picking one up, because it was a 15-minute window. There was absolutely no point in me coming back home, because by the time I would have gotten back home, I would have pulled into the driveway, backed out, and left again. So I just went early and sat and waited. It was a cookout, so it's nothing he wants mommy showing up for. So I just parked and waited for him to be done. So I got 15 minutes worth of work done there. Well, right there is 25 minutes of billable work that I don't want to lose. And if I put that in the middle of that mess in that daily calendar, it's going to get lost. I guarantee you, I know me and I've tried it, and I will lose it. And that's $25 worth of income, or 25 minutes worth of income. I don't want to lose that. When you're tracking your time, at least for me, when I'm being very conscientious of tracking my time, it really helps me focus. A lot of the work that I do, I have no choice but to do in a multitasking manner because I've got Liam at home. It's not always the case, but a lot of times in the summer, if the older kids are out and about and gone, and if Mike has a Sunday off, he'll take Liam for a couple hours, and they'll kind of Liam and Daddy Day for a while, and I get a chunk of time to work. Well, during hockey season, that doesn't really happen. So I need to use those little stolen moments, but I also have Liam, and I can't ignore him. He's 2.5, and I got to find a balance between playing with him and keeping him entertained, and then working for 5 or 10 minutes, and then going back and we do something else, or we go for a walk or go outside in the backyard, and then I work for 5 or 10 minutes. So I'm constantly multitasking already. So when I do get, even if it's just that 5 or 10 minutes to focus on something, I truly, truly have to focus on it, because if he's awake and he's, toddling around the house playing, a lot of times he's sitting right over here. A lot of times we'll build a train track over here, and then I'll sit down and work for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll play with him for a little while. A lot of times he sits right here on my lap, or, back here. You guys saw that. Being able to really focus on the task at hand is really, really important, and I struggle with that. I really do, because my brain is always multitasking, because, I'm partially paying attention to him. So it really helps me focus when I know that I'm keeping track of that time. I'm going to write down what I spent that time doing. Really helps me to focus on what I'm getting done. It just helps me be more productive that way. The biggest thing, maybe not the biggest, but something I noticed right off the bat is when you're doing a lot of repetitive tasks. I've been, setting up websites for people, okay, like individuals and small businesses, and tracking my time when I first started doing that gave me the ability to tell somebody, if this is what you want, I can have it done in this amount of time. And I make no bones about the fact that, there are a lot of kids and I'm the one responsible for running them, and I have a toddler at home and I work from home, and that is figured in. If depending on what you would like done, here's the amount of time in which I can do it. And that is huge. That is a big, big deal to be able to guarantee somebody, barring anything crazy and insane happening, I can have this project done for you in this amount of time. Okay, so that's all kind of on the business end of it. This lighting is going to keep fighting me and fighting me. May have to re-record this whole thing. So that was all kind of the business side of stuff and why I've been tracking my time. Not everything I do is billed by time. And I'm just starting out the whole website thing. So that's been really helpful for me to know with confidence. I can look at somebody and say, yep, if that's what you want done, here's how long it's going to take. And I don't have to stop and go, okay, well, so-and-so has this going on and I have to drive them. So that's going to take this amount of time. So I don't have to sit there and try to process it. I already know because I've been keeping track of it for a while. As far as creating those stolen moments, and that's the ticket. Use stolen moments as much as you can and track your time while you're using them because it makes those stolen moments more productive. But something I tend to forget over every summer break, and usually, hopefully by now into the school year I've remembered, is sometimes I have to create those stolen moments. If Liam's having a day, or if I'm having a day, or if we're both having a day and I'm not getting much done, sometimes leaving 10 or 15 minutes early to go start picking people up from school is all I need, because he needs a change of pace, especially if it's been crummy outside. It's been raining for 2 days straight. We did go out for a little while yesterday, in his jacket with his hood up because it wasn't lightning or anything, and, let him splash around a little while, but he's not overly fond of the rain. So he's been inside a lot, and that really, he gets antsy, and then I get antsy because I'm not getting a lot done. And I have no problem having those days where he and I just play. It's a Liam day. They happen, and I'm fine with that. Sometimes when it's like, okay, I have got to get this done today. Sometimes I have to create a stolen moment in order to get that 10 minutes back to be able to get it done. So we leave 10 minutes early to start picking people up from school. I pack everything up, grab some toys for Liam. We leave 10 minutes earlier than usual. Go park and wait for whoever I'm waiting for to pick up from school. And in that 10 minutes, a lot of times his issue is that he's come down to the point of needing a nap but doesn't want to take it. So he will have dozed off in the car. And sometimes that's just, he's a very easy kid, and a lot of times it's just what he needs is a nap. Sometimes the drive does it, and I tend to forget that every summer break. So tracking my time, and when we've had a couple of days straight where he's been just kind of not himself or overly tired, and he's kind of hit that night terrors phase right now, so his sleep is kind of messed up, and creating those stolen moments and the beauty of leaving 10 minutes early, it has been a good reminder for me. I may not have remembered that if I hadn't been tracking my time, frankly. And that is kind of where the whole brain dumping thing plays into things for me. Because I'm consistently on a scheduled basis and on just a random basis when things pop in my head, I'm constantly putting anything that pops into my head that I want to remember into one place. I am at least twice a week going through that trigger list. About twice a week, going through that trigger, incompletion trigger list and adding things that are tumbling around up there. Because I will inevitably sit down to do a brain dump and draw a blank. And I know there's stuff I'm carrying up there I shouldn't be. So that has freed up a lot of mental energy so that when I do get those 5 or 10 minutes to get something done, even if I'm slightly distracted because I'm also paying attention to Liam, that's still a really productive 5 or 10 minutes because the thought processes that I'm using in whatever I'm working on at the time are not constantly being interrupted by, oh, I got to remember to read the meter today. And, oh, I have to remember I needed to change that on my schedule for tomorrow. And, oh, I needed to, none of that is popping in my head anymore. And if it does, my brain dump book is right there. Grab it, write it down, put it down. I know I'm not going to forget about it because I wrote it down in a place that I look at multiple times a day. So it doesn't keep nagging at me while I'm trying to focus on something else. The biggest favor that you can do for yourself, and if you take nothing else from tracking your time and doing a brain dump than this one thing, is that doing both of those things, at least for me, may work differently for you, okay? For me, making sure I'm consistent with the brain dump, making sure I'm writing things down the second they pop in my head, always consistently in the same place, and tracking my time, those things together have enabled me to remember to make sure I'm giving time to myself. Because generally, time that is my time, I work. And the last couple of weeks have kicked my butt. Be really honest with you guys. Mike was gone most of September. Now he's gone for another week and a half. The kids, I'm grateful and I'm really excited that a couple of them are really kind of coming out of their shells and doing all sorts of extra things that, had you asked them a year ago, they would have been, no, I don't want to do that. No, Key Club and student council and stuff like that. And, I'm really glad to see them coming out of their shells and doing those things. It does change my schedule because I'm running them at different times and they're doing extra activities, and I don't mind it in the slightest. I'm proud of them and I'm glad. So when I'm running them and I'm doing all that, that's all extra running. That's all time. So my time gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's inevitable. We chose to have a lot of kids. We chose to make this big family. and when the opportunity to be employed by the hockey team came up, we chose for Mike to be employed by the hockey team, knowing full well what that was going to entail. So I can either be woe is me and pout and be worried about my stuff and my time, or I can make my time. And sometimes I have to make sure that time is not working. I have not read a book in over a month. I've read a ton of stuff. I've read a ton of articles. I've read stuff for classes, but to just read a book just for the sake of reading a fun book, I haven't done it. And it hit me Saturday, I haven't read a book in a long time and I miss it. I've read stuff for research for blog posts and, like I said, classes and stuff, but I haven't been reading anything. And flipping back right then, I grabbed my time tracking notebook and I started flipping through it. A lot of blue stuff in there. Blue is for the boys. A lot of blue stuff in there, a lot of pink stuff in there, a lot of purple stuff in there. That's all blog and YouTube and projects for work, and not a whole lot of brown stuff in there. And brown is my journaling, reading, tends to overflow into classes a little bit, but that's the biggest thing, that keeping your brain clear. So by doing a brain dump and freeing up that space, stopping those things from interrupting you when you're taking some time for yourself, that's huge for me. I will inevitably sit down to read something and think, oh, I got to remember to do that. And oh, I didn't do that. And oh, and this stuff. And it's completely undermines the point of taking time for yourself. So that is my little review of how time tracking and having a brain dump has really changed how I've planned. I'll tell you what, that brain dump thing freed up a lot of mental energy. I am feeling more creative than I have in a very long time. I did not realize how much I was carrying around in my head, despite the fact that I have a planner that I, quote, wrote everything down in. I obviously didn't, because I'm really shocked. I'm still really shocked how the ideas just tend to flow a lot easier because I don't have all the other peripheral stuff nagging at me, basically. So I would love to hear from you guys how doing time tracking or doing a brain dump or both of those things, if they've changed your planning at all, how they've changed your planning. I'd be really interested to hear if you put a video up talking about it or showing physically how it's changed your planning. That's why I didn't have anything to show, really. It hasn't physically changed the way I plan things. I mean, there's a time tracking book and a brain dump book, but you guys have seen those a million times by now. If you put a video up, let one of us know. Let Romany know or Vicky know or let me know. Because I would love to watch it. I would love to see if you write a blog post or put something up on Facebook. Let us know so we can read it and share it, because I'd be really interested to see, if these things have changed how you're doing things as well, and how you're feeling about your productivity and your mental energy and time for yourself. Okay, so thank you so much, you guys, again, for tolerating the poor lighting. It is just, I have moved this poor thing everywhere today trying to get it in a good spot, and there's not a good spot today. So you guys take it easy, and I will be talking to you soon. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.